good. I'm good. What's going on?
Thanks, bro. Thank you for coming on. Guys, whoever doesn't know who David Chen is, he's been in the business a little over a year, I think. Issued or protected over 300 families last year. Me and him from the beginning, we were talking a lot, especially when he came in. So I was able to really see the grind, the determination, the bumps and bruises that came with it, and how he surpassed all that, really, really put in the work, stuck in the game, and, 300 families later, so once again, David Chen, bro, I appreciate your time, bro, and good job last year, man.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate you. First of all, thank you for having me, and it's really an honor, to be on this. Hopefully, I'll be able to share some stuff, and the team can have something to take away from it.
Love it, man. I'm sure they will, bro. But David, real quick, man, let's just kind of go over your background, because I don't think everybody grows up and they're like, you know what, I'm going to be in the insurance industry. Right. I could definitely say that about myself. I can definitely say that about pretty much everybody who's in the industry. They talk about that. Right. It's not the first thing that I thought I wanted to be growing up. It was a police, a firefighter, lawyer, dentist, doctor, whatever. But in this scenario, we are in the insurance industry. Right. And it's been great to us. So before this, what were you doing?
Yeah. Like you said, Rob, I don't think any of us, grow up with the intention of being in insurance or being a life insurance person, selling life insurance broker, whatever you want to call it, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, a little bit about myself. Like Rob mentioned, I came on board December of 2020. So just went over a whole year, about 15 months to be exact, roughly 15 months. And I was fortunate enough, with following the blueprint that's in place for all of us. And honestly, just learning from, people such as Rob, yourself, and Brandon and Colton, and of course, Steven, just providing the support and following the blueprint. And I was able to go out there and just really put my head down and grind it out, like you mentioned, and go through the suck in order to get through success. And I was fortunate enough to, be able to protect quite a few families last year. Prior to FFL, honestly, I held numerous sales and marketing and management positions, primarily in the corporate field. Always been around corporate, similar to yourself, Rob. And so I've kind of had that foundation coming in, but obviously zero insurance background or experience whatsoever. But again, with what we have here at FFL and the blueprint that's already in place for us, it's really just plug and play, right? And just following the footsteps of all the people who's done it before us, and just really hone in on that, and not try to make things complicated, and just really just putting our head down and go to work and do what it is we need to do.
And that's I think the key phrase there is putting your head down and going to work, right? Because I think even, I'm a victim of it myself, getting lost in the sauce of thinking that you're working, right? You can be busy and not be productive. Would you agree?
Absolutely, 100%. There's a difference between working hard and actually being productive while you're working, for sure.
Correct. Like sometimes I'll come into office, I'll be here bright and early, I'll get a couple hours of work done, but the rest of the time, the money-making activity hours aren't used diligently, right? So then I look back at the day, I'm like, I could have done more. And that's to be honest, that's a crappy feeling. Like when I get home, or when I'm on the way to whatever, after leaving the office, I'm like, I could have done more today. So I definitely think that's a nugget right there to really differentiate being busy and then being productive. Because productive, you leave the day fulfilled, right? And I think when you work hard, tell me if I'm wrong, when you work hard and you do what needs to be done, there's a certain type of fulfillment that a human feels, so I'm glad you touched upon that. Coming from where you were coming from, right? That corporate setting, that corporate environment. A lot of people have that. I think the expectation, sometimes we don't do the best job of not setting it, of the difference between being in that corporate environment, or not even corporate, just coming from a job in comparison to coming here where you need to be self-employed, where you are self-employed, right? There's definitely a difference there. When you started, what do you think, or can you share some things that you really had to, I guess you could say, remind yourself about, that structure? Because here you can wake up whenever you want, think you don't got to get on the phones by 8 a.m. and then you're 2-3 hours behind. and you're making yourself food and you run a couple errands, you look back at the end of the day, you're like, dude, I dialed for like 2 hours. That's why I don't have any appointments, right? So what were some, trials and tribulations or things that you can help the agents on here about that situation?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure these are things that have already been echoed numerous times in the past. And it really, what it comes down to is discipline, right? It comes down to discipline and really, really hone in on having a structured schedule. Because like you said, Rob, here we have that freedom of waking up when we want, um, doing things when we want, because we're entrepreneurs after all, right? But like you said, we're self-employed, but we can be unemployed really, really quickly if we are
really
not
quick.
structured.
You guys can take that down. You can be self-employed, but you can be unemployed really, really quick. Love it.
Absolutely. And it's all about that structure. Again, we all know, Dow Day is Monday, Thursday. We're trying to set appointments for Tuesday and Wednesday. Dow again on Thursday, set appointments for Friday and Saturday. And like you like to always say, clean up on Sunday if necessary, right? So that's the schedule. And then we always hear the number 30, 20, 10. 30 appointments, sit on 20. If we're able to be just okay, help 10 families, then we're sitting in pretty good shape. But it's the consistency of week in, week out of 30, 20, 10, or whatever that number is for you, right? Going back to what you're saying about when I first got started, of course, it was very easy, coming from a job, right, where we have to report to work at a certain time, even though being in certain management positions, it was a little bit more flexible. It's not like I had to clock in, clock out. But at the same time, it's like, okay, I know I have to be in the office at this time, right? So it's kind of like I had to take that same mentality coming into this as well, being an entrepreneur. Really, really, if anything, I have to even be more disciplined, right? I know that no one's gonna check on me. No one's coming to wake me up. I have to wake up myself. I have to get my butt out of bed, right? I think you and I, when we all wake up early, we're up 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. So we've gotten used to it. But for new people and new agents starting out, that might be a little bit difficult, right? In the beginning. But once you kind of get into a rhythm and you know what's necessary in order to be productive for the whole day, you do what's necessary, what has to be done. But yeah, that's one thing that I think all of us will probably struggle with at some point or another, because we're not all going to be motivated every single day. But again, it all goes back to that whole discipline situation and really sticking to a structured schedule and really just saying, hey, there's no ifs, ands, or buts, and this is what I have to do, and this is what's necessary to get things done.
There's no if, ands, or buts. This is what is necessary to get things done. No ifs, ands, or buts. This is what's necessary to get things done. That's a punchline right there. Beautiful. Felt like I was listening to Tupac for a second. That was good. That was great. And that is the main thing, because, I think we've all felt a victim of it. When the structure and the discipline is not there, you're all over the place, right? You're all over the place. And when you're all over the place, the prediction of your business is not predictable, right? It's like when you're sitting with a client and you don't explain the process to them. The client's mind is not at a sound. It's not sound. It's at a confused state, right? So when you're at a confused state or a structured state, the client in that situation is not going to make a sound or proper decision. Just like us, when we're not structured and we're not doing exactly what's necessary, right? Our business is all over the place. The number of policies that we can write is all over the place. I think, David, me and you, we've pretty much got to the point where we can kind of predict how many families we're going to protect a week. Fair to say, obviously some high lows, there's obviously, but overall the consistency, we can start to predict the amount of families helped, right? Which therefore we predict our income. And that is a freeing feeling. So everybody, that is so important. When you got started, it's a great story. You were given leads, right? But nobody purchased them or anything like that. Give us that story, because it's mind-boggling just to think how much more premium, how many more families could have been helped in that pile. Give us that synopsis.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough, obviously, because Stephen was the one that brought me on board. Stephen and I kind of go back a little bit. We all kind of knew each other from previous. We both came from the basketball environment. We both play basketball and we play in the same leagues, and he refs and he's a coach and all that stuff. So I've known Steven for quite some time. Long story short, he brought me on board, and he said, "Hey, David, here are a bunch of old leads." He said, "Hey, don't just start with these. Go out there and you're probably gonna get your teeth kicked in, but I want you to take these old leads and go ahead and dial them and let me know how it goes." And that's really what it was. He gave me a stash of leads that were 6 months old, 9 months old, a year old, 2 years old. They're a mix between internet leads, which at the time internet leads was just introduced.
Yeah.
And then of course final expense and mortgage leads, right? And then of course I had to kind of just fall forward and just go all in and just like, okay, let's give this thing a shot and see how it goes. Obviously, with older leads, you're gonna have to grind, you're gonna have to work harder, right? But at the same time, knowing that, hey, at one point or another, these people did fill out the request, it's our job to kind of figure out what's going on, because perhaps maybe they weren't helped by another agent, or maybe they were never contacted, or whatever the case may be, or when they were first contacted, perhaps it wasn't the right timing. But now all of a sudden something might have happened, maybe a loss of a family member or something triggered them again and said, okay, yeah, I really need to get this taken care of. So, and that's the mindset that you have to have going in, especially if you're working older leads, right? Because it's
which is what, the older leads. What's the mindset on the older leads? Go ahead.
Yeah, the mindset is really no different than any lead itself, but really you have to go into you have to have the mindset of, hey, these people did fill it out at one point or another, like I mentioned, perhaps it wasn't taken care of back then at that time. So there's still plenty of opportunities, and it's up to us to go in with that mindset and have that approach coming from a caring position. Hey, there's still opportunities here. It's my job. It's my duty to actually help these people. And again, it's a numbers game, just like everything we do. But more with the older leads, it is definitely a numbers game, and you're not going to be able to help them all. They're going to tell you the same stuff that we hear over and over. I've got it taken care of. I'm no longer interested. Is this whatever? I didn't fill it out. I don't remember filling it out. But you and I both know, because we've been doing this for some time now. We know those are all just smoke screens. We just got to know how to overcome those objections and kind of push through. And I think you and I both have helped many families working older leads.
Oh yeah,
for sure. And you just have to have the right mentality. You have to have the right mindset, the right approach. And there's no question that I don't want to talk too much about it, but Steven has mentioned
it's an important
before.
subject.
Yeah, Steven was a Hall of Fame producer, and he gave me a bunch of old leads, and with hard work and determination and just grinding, just like how you always grind, Rob, is we were able to help 20, 30 families within that first month or two when I joined.
So your first month on the age leads, how many families were you how much did you take care of? How many families?
I believe it was 21.
21 families first month, and everybody knows what that equates to. 21 families on your first month. It's it's so refreshing when I hear that, because it just shows that the process works. If you work right, it's good to show that if it's figure outable, you can figure it out. And then that's it, guys. When you do 20 plus families a month, life starts to change. Now break down that math. That's about 5 families a week. There's 164 hours in a week, right? Try to find a way to stay consistent and help 5 families a week. How to guarantee 5 families a week is if you have 200 new leads every dial day, right? It doesn't mean they have to be all instance, all, the expenses. Even if the 3-month-old, 1-month-old just have another 200 leads to dial every dial day. Because what happens when you do that, you book about, realistically, let's give real numbers. Out of 200, let's say you book 8%, about 16 appointments, right? For the next couple of days. Out of the 16, 5 will no-show you. You're down to 11, 10. Out of the 10, let's say you only close 50%. Let's say you only close 40%, right? Let's say you only close 30%. That's 3 families in those 2 days, those 2 run days. Now you repeat that again on Thursday to run on Friday and Saturday. Let's say you didn't get any better and you only sold another 3. That's 6 families that week. 6 times 4 weeks in that month, that's 24 families. You know what that number equates to.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
So I remember in the manager chat, we're like, newest 20 family producer, David Chen. I'm like, who the heck is this stud out of nowhere, man? And you've been heating up since. You walked the stage this year too, 300 plus families. So, and I was sitting right beside you. Actually, you were sitting right beside me, right?
Sure,
so,
sure.
so that was a good experience, man. I'm glad we did that part together. David, let me ask you this: what keeps you going every morning, right? Is there some type of end goal, some type of why that you want to, right? Because if this was just for us, I don't think we'd be going this hard. I don't think I would have done all the fame and all this stuff. It was just for us, right? Is there some type of why, or can you speak on how important having a why is? And if so, what's yours?
Absolutely. Everything goes back to the why. And that why has to be bigger than us. It has to be bigger than really us, right? Because
Agreed.
we know that this opportunity that we have with FFL, there's the producing side and then there's the building side, right? You always hear people say, hey, being successful is what you do for yourself. Making a significance is what you do for others, right? So for me, first of all, my why obviously is my family, right? My family, I have wife and kids, and that's what gets me up every morning. Besides that, obviously, is just pouring into the team, just like how you pour into your team, right? Because we have responsibilities, we have obligations as agency, as leaders, the position that we sit in. We have other people looking up to us. We have other people who's relying on us, depending on us for support and for help. And that's what gets me going every single day. Because this opportunity was presented to us, and now it's up to us to present that opportunity to someone else and to help them help their families. And just like how we help these families when on these leads, they have a reason, they have a why of why they filled it out. So it's up to us to figure out what that why is, hone in on it, and then again, my approach has always been, I'm coming from a caring position. We oftentimes hear that, hey, life insurance agents have these bad reps, or they're just out to sell us something, or they're just out they're looking out for their own pockets. It's unfortunate that that's kind of like the industry that we're in. But I think you and I both know that's not the approach. That's not our angle here at FFL. No. We're here to help families, right? We're here to help families. We know that we have the capabilities and we have the right tools, being that we're not captive, we have, access to so many different carriers. So no matter who it is that we're sitting with or whoever it is we're talking to on the phone, if you're doing telesales, we are going to be able to find something to help these families. And it's important that we kind of dig in and hone in on that, find out what the why is for that family, and then really focusing on that. And coming from a caring position, we'll be able to, find ways to help this family. And as long as you have that mindset, that approach, and kind of like you said, it's all numbers. It's all numbers. We're not going to be able to help everybody, but if you have the numbers in your favor, there's no way you can lose. It's simple math, like you said, Rob, earlier, right? You have X amount of leads per dial day. If you're able to just book a certain percentage, right? And even if you have a couple of no-shows here or there, you're guaranteed to sit with at least a few people. Yeah. And the people that you sit with, there's going to be some laydowns, right? Stephen talks about this all the time. 25% of the people we meet with, they're going to buy no matter who it is, whether it's you, me, Andrew Taylor, Stephen, E, Sean, Mike, it doesn't matter, they're buying. Right? They pretty much have their checkbook out and say, hey, you know what, find me the best policy, sign me up, right? Then the other 25%, no matter who it is, it doesn't matter if it's you, me, all due respect, Sean, Mike, Stephen, E, they're not buying. They probably have nothing else. They probably have nothing else better to do. They want someone to come over, whatever the case may be, right? But they're not buying. Now, the remaining 50%, that's where your skill set comes in. That's where your ability to find out the why. That's where your ability to control the conversation, setting the table, right? Going through the financial inventory, collecting all the information, going through all that process and doing it the right way, structuring it and setting everything up the right way, speaking in the right posture, tonality, and all that stuff that you and I both know. That's how we're going to be able to help those families. That's what's going to distinguish between a so-so family protector versus a top family protector.
I agree. And when David is talking about 25% will lay down, they're just going to buy the insurance, right? 25%, no matter what you say, they're not. And then you got the other 50% where the skill set comes in, right? The ability to communicate clearly, the ability to make eye contact, the ability to listen and let the client give you the answers, and the ability for trust and just enough rapport to be built up. all that stuff, that social calibration, the science to the sale, mind you, a very easy sale. We're not selling cars or anything like that. Okay. But the science of, I guess you could say, people comes into play, because the thing that we do here, guys, there is no negative to our product. There's no negative to our product. And that's a beautiful thing. So if you guys can hone in on that, I think that would make the sale a leader easier. And when he said the 25-25, then you got 50% where your skill set got to come in, right? In order for that to happen, just like you said, you have to have the numbers in your favor. And even with that remaining 50%, all you need is another 50% of that 50%, which is 25%, to get a big return, because our compensation here is so high. Just a handful a week makes a massive difference. Just a handful of families helped a week makes a massive difference. And I think if you could do it for 1 week and 2 weeks, you'll start to get a momentum and rhythm, like you said, and the rest is history. The rest is history. So that's solid, bro. Appreciate that. Share that one. For a lot of your new people who are coming on, like Benny, Kim, what are they starting with? What's kind of your structure for a new agent coming in, right? So let's say that people who are working, because I know you have some people who have a full-time job still, correct? Do you give them any advice on how to structure themselves, or is it pretty much on your day off, book and dial?
That's a great question. I try to provide the same structure across the board. Obviously,
we all talked about. Okay.
Yeah. I try to provide the same type of structure across the board for everyone, but of course we have to, give respect to those people who are kind of going at this at a part-time basis, or as much as we don't like to hear it, they as much as we don't like to hear it, they're only going to partake in this when they have time, right? Correct. You have full-time, you have part-time, you have whenever they have time. Right?
Yeah, that's 3 categories. You're right.
Yeah, but we're going to pour into the ones that we know are going to work. We know that are going to put into consistent activity. But as far as structure and expectations, I think we talk about this, and I know you do it with your team as well. We set expectations right from the beginning, right? This is what's going to require. Right? What I like to always find out in the beginning is, if we're going to bring someone on board, if they're already on board, right? Okay, what do you used to do for work? If you don't mind me asking, what were you making there? What is it that attracted you by FFL? What is it that you're looking to get out of that FFL? Okay, you made this previously. You have the opportunity to make this here at FFL. What are you willing to do to get there? Right? What are you willing to do to get there? Right? If you did, 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, whatever it is at your previous job, and you made X amount, right? Now, if you expect to make that, you would have to expect to at least put in that type of effort. But
at least that type of effort.
Correct. But if you know you're going to make at least double, if not triple, of what you made before, then you can't be like, okay, well, I'm only going to put in what I put in before in order to earn the potential I'm going to earn here. That just doesn't add up, right? It doesn't add up. You can't have that type of expectation. Again, goes back to what we were saying earlier. Now you're self-employed, but if you aren't consistent, you don't have discipline. Self-employed becomes unemployed very, very quickly. But it kind of like you said earlier, and I'll just hit on that again, right? At the end of the day, if you really think about it, guys, brand new, starting out, been at this for, less than 3 months, whatever the case may be, it really is just numbers. If you put in the work and you put the numbers in your favor, you can't lose. You can't lose. Just keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate things. Have enough leads, have the leads, put in the activity, right? And everything else will fall into place. Of course, having the right mindset, the right approach. Look, what we do is a roller coaster, right? What we do is not hard, but it does require hard work, right? And if you're willing to put in the hard work, the good days are going to overshadow the not so good days. We're all going to have these ups and downs, right? It's a roller coaster ride. It is emotional. That's why we have, upline support, other teammates to kind of lean on to kind of get us through those bad days or not so good days, right? But as long as you put the numbers in your favor, you can't lose. You can't lose, and you just got to kind of remember that. Never let the highs be too high, and don't ever let the lows bring you down too low. Right? Stay even keel. Stay even keel.
Love it. Love it. Be calibrated. That's so important, guys. And when he's talking about the numbers in your favor, numbers, period. The amount of appointments, the amount of dials, the amount of follow-ups, the amount of leads. You have enough that where you can book enough to where you'll help enough. And then you know what the return is when you help people, right? Remember, the numbers got to be in your favor. You can't buy 40 leads and expect the world, right? The goal here, guys, is more opportunity at the rim, more opportunity at the rim, right? We always talk about David. Remember, we want more shots at the basket, right? We want more shots at the basket. Obviously, David, you're a star in what you do. We've heard you articulate with clients over the phone, and your numbers speak for themselves. But you're like the epiphany of humble and hungry, right? Like you are literally the epiphany of humble and hungry. And I think that's why anytime your name is mentioned, it's always brought out with love, right? So I sent a group text out. Hey guys, who do you want from the group? Blah blah blah. How about Chen? How about the Chen? I said hashtag the Chen. That guy. I was like, absolutely, absolutely, right? So you are the epiphany of that, man. And I think that just carries you such a long way because you're coming from it from such a good place, man. And I really appreciate that. So to transition from that, because the point of this was you're so coachable, right? When you came in, you were so coachable. Explain how being very open to being coached is important in the success here, because I really, truly don't feel you want to be in this journey alone, because it can get lonely. When you're there, it can get lonely. Obviously, leaders are always here to assist, but you can always get lonely. So how important is being coached in this industry?
Absolutely. Being that I played sports in high school and college, I've always been in that type of environment. So it was, not anything, it's no stranger to me to be in that type of situation. But yeah, we've talked about this before. Again, not having any previous insurance background or experience, and just the way that I am, and kind of like I said, playing in sports and everything, I knew I had to check my ego at the door, right? Check my ego at the door, and being Steven, who he is and his accomplishments, why would I not listen to him? Like I'd be foolish to not listen to him. Why would I not lean on you? For suggestions? Why would I not go to Brandon and say, hey, what do I do in this type of situation? Why would I not go to Bruce? People that have been already, doing it for quite some time and have proven the success, right? Why would I not do that, right? Check our egos at the door, guys, right? Especially if you've not done this before, because what we have here at FFL is tremendous. And the people who brought you on, they're going to make sure that they give you the proper support and the training in order for you to be successful. And as long as you're coachable and you have an open mind, and again, everything goes back to mindset, strong work ethics. I mean, we don't need to say these things over and over, but being coachable and knowing that your upline support has your best interest at heart, and just really, really be willing to reach out so you don't feel like you have to do this on your own. I think that's key for not only myself, but for all the new agents coming in. Just be a sponge, absorb everything, don't have an ego. Of course, you're going to have your opinions on certain things. And of course, you can certainly voice those opinions. But as long as you're coachable and you're willing to listen and because your support is going to provide the proper guidance, and all you have to do is soak it all in and just, implement, rinse and repeat, right?
And then implement. Exactly. Perfect. Real quick, David, if you don't mind, take us through your in-home.
Absolutely. So I think we've all heard
the infamous 300 plus family in-home. Let's hear this.
Well, I'm sure the in-home is probably very similar to yours, Rob, and all the top producers, right? Because
right?
Exactly. Because it's all structured. It's all about word tracks. It's all about setting the table. It's all about following the script. And I hate to use the word script because it's not a script, but
kind of like the blueprints, right?
Right. Following the blueprints, right? So in the very beginning, it's very important that we set the table properly. So first of all, let me just say this, right? Everything that I have today, I took bits and pieces from people like Rob, Steven, Bruce, Zach Drodowski, all the top producers. And then I just kind of made some tweaks here and there. And then I kind of hone in on that and I, polished it up to make it sound like me. Because remember, guys, what works for me may not work for Rob and vice versa. What works for Chris Chavez may not work for Vida Santos, right? but it's finding your sweet spot. It's finding out what works for you based on your personality and how you typically, how you typically would speak. But to kind of answer your question, so my in-home looks like this. So Rob, just to let you know, I'm the underwriter assigned to help you today, right? I'm going to be the voice. I'm going to be the advocate for you. And let's say let's say you have a significant other. I'm going to be the advocate for you and your spouse. And my job is to help find something that makes sense and see if we can actually get you to qualify, right? I just want you to know I'm not here, to sell you anything. I'm not an insurance agent. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to help protect your family. So before we go into this, Rob, just to help me best understand how to best help you and your family, what prompted you to fill out this request? Now, I'm assuming you fill out this request, for one of two or three reasons. I hit on that. But at that point, I just be quiet and I let them talk, right? I let them talk.
The one or two reasons you give them are what?
So let's say it's a final expense lead, or let's say it's a mortgage lead, whatever type of lead it is. So Rob, I'm assuming you filled out this request, just like most families who fill this out. You want to make sure that, God forbid, if something was to happen to you yesterday, your wife is taken care of and she's not burdened with any financial responsibilities. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Perfect. So do you have any kids?
We do have one. One of them moved out of the house, and the other one is finishing up college. She's 24.
And is she close by? Is she far away, or?
She's at Laverne University, so she's about 45 minutes from us.
Gotcha. So she doesn't live here in this house with you, right?
She'll be coming back. It's her last year. Well, right now she's off campus, but she'll be coming back.
Got it. Awesome. So I'm assuming that what's important to you is that if something was to happen to you, your wife and your daughter is not burdened with any financial responsibilities, and they're not in any type of difficult position if something was to happen to you, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. And that's the reason I'm here today. I'm going to make sure that if and when that time comes, that would not happen to you and your wife. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Awesome. So just to let you know how the process works, Rob. So my job here, again, is your underwriter. I'm going to just spend a few minutes kind of getting to know you a little bit better. I'm going to ask you some basic questions. And with your help depending on how you answer those questions, my job is to look for something that makes the most sense for you and your family, and hopefully find the right option for you. And if we find the right option that does make sense for you in terms of coverage, but most importantly, a monthly premium that's suitable, that's feasible, and fits within your budget today, next week, next month, next year, I am going to go ahead and help you submit a request today to see if we can actually get you guys to be approved, okay?
What do you think, honey? Yeah, okay.
Perfect. So Rob and Connie, just to let you know, when we do find the best option for you, when we submit that request to the insurance carrier, they will require 3 bits of information, right? Number one is a valid driver's license or ID. They just want to make sure that you are who you say you are, and there's no one trying to get this benefit under your name. It's for your protection. Number 2, your social. Why the social, Rob? Don't be alarmed or anything. We're not going to do a credit check or background check or nothing like that at all. But the insurance company just needs to make sure that the questions that you're going to answer yes or no to in just a minute when I ask these health and medical questions, it is consistent with what's in the MIB, which is the Medical Information Bureau report. Basically, your health and medical history, all your records and everything is connected to your social. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, because you'd be surprised how many times unintentionally someone forgets to tell me that they had a heart attack 2 years ago. You'd be surprised how many times unintentionally someone forgets to tell me that they're taking, prescription pain medications, right? I know that's not the case with you, but that's the reason for the social, right? And then lastly, if you are approved and we do find something that does make sense for you and Connie, right? The last bit of information the insurance carrier will require is a valid bank account, right? The valid bank account is really for 2 reasons. Number one, they want to make sure that if you are approved for coverage, that there's actually a bank account with your name on it, and no one's trying to commit any type of insurance fraud. No one's trying to use someone else's bank account to fund the policy. And of course, that will be the account that you would designate for the insurance carrier to draft your monthly premium. Any questions there?
No, straightforward.
Okay. Shall we proceed?
Yeah, we can.
Perfect. So guys, what I did there was basically called setting the table. Right.
Cool.
I basically explained to them what the process is going to look like. These are the steps we're going to take. And I get them to buy in on it and agree to it first before I even proceed. Why? Because I don't want to spend the next 30, 45 minutes trying to build rapport, get to know Rob and Connie better, ask them all the questions to the financial inventory, only for them to say, hey, I'm not giving you my social security. I don't give that to nobody. I'm not gonna, run into the whole thing like, okay, why do you need my bank account? I don't give that to nobody. Are you crazy? Right. So I get all that out of the way in the beginning to avoid the objections at the end. I get them to buy in on it. And yeah, perhaps there's still going to be times where at the end, Rob and Connie's going to be like, I don't know about giving this guy David. I don't know who this person is, my social. Well, Rob and Connie, remember I mentioned in the very beginning, you're not actually providing it to me. It is a valid, it's a vital part of information that the insurance carrier does require to make sure that your health and medical history is exactly what you say it is. So it's not for me, it's actually for them to make a determination on whether or not you're going to get approved, right? Or if they say, hey, the bank account, hey, no big deal, Rob and Connie, I'm sure you probably know that, even if I have your bank account, there's nothing I can actually do to it. I can't go in there and pull money out of it. Again, remember, you're not giving it to me, you're providing it to the insurance carrier because they want to make sure that there's no bank fraud, there's no insurance fraud going on. So really, there's nothing to be worried about there. Only if you are approved and we set something up, right, then know that the monthly premium is going to be drafted by the insurance carrier. It's not even coming to me or anything. So rest assured, you have nothing to worry about. So I just kind of put that all out there. These are the things that you and I, all of us have encountered, when it comes to these sensitive bits of information. So how do we make them feel more comfortable? How do we get them to drop their guard so that it's no big deal? Because it's only a big deal if you make it a big deal, right? But if you don't make it a big deal, you set it up in the very beginning, you let them know exactly why it's needed, what's needed, then you shouldn't have any issues.
Love it. Love it. I love the part, shall we proceed? And you legit use that one every time, shall we proceed?
All the time. Because in the beginning, when I didn't do it, guess what happens? 15, 20 minutes in, I'm not giving you this. I'm not giving you that. Why am I giving you this? Why am I giving you that? Right? You get them to buy in on it and they agree to move forward. And hopefully that reduces, again, the objections or the no helping that family. That's why, this is to increase this is not only to decrease your objection, but it's going to increase your opportunity to actually help that family.
Beautiful. Because it would be weird if they said no. It would be weird suddenly out of nowhere where they said no, where you're like, dude, we just with this whole thing, you agree to it. So it actually gets awkward on their end if they said no. So I love it. And see, guys, that's his thing. See, when I come in, I explain the process. Guys, we're going to need this, this, and this. Cool. Sir, I'm going to need that from you. All right. That's how I am. His is, shall we proceed? And it's like, oh, shoot. Okay. Yeah. Okay. We can proceed, David Chen. No problem. David, I'm going to open up this for a few questions, from some of our top producers here, like Joe Vita, Chris Chavez, Kim, a lot of the Jennifers and all that stuff. And actually really anybody who wants to open up, but we have time for a few. You okay with that, Chen?
Absolutely. Whatever I can do to help, man.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Whoever wants to start off, guys.
Hey, David.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Good stuff, man. Joe Martinez here. I appreciate all that the knowledge you've been pouring into us. Let's just say hypothetically, they actually say, you know what? Well, I don't know if I want to go that far. I kind of wanted to see if it's something we really want to do and all that stuff. Then what do you say there? Let's just say they completely don't want to do it, and you kind of think they're just shopping around, all that stuff. How do you handle it from there to either continue or just pick up your stuff and leave? What do you do?
Good question. Are you talking about in-home or are you talking about on the phone?
On the in-home. Let's just say you're at the house and they tell you that, like, you tell them, should we proceed? Well, I don't know, David. I was just wanting to get some quotes or whatever. Even if it's in the phone, like, what do you do from there when they say that they don't agree with getting you all that info, especially maybe over the phone? But what do you specifically do when they actually say that?
Great question. So I kind of go back to the why. Now, Joe, you mentioned earlier to me in the beginning, the reason you filled this out was because blah, 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 blah. Like I mentioned, I'm actually here to help you. I'm not here to sell you anything. So if you would like me to proceed to help you, I'm more than happy to do so. But if not, I just want to let you know, I'm not Geico. I'm not a quote tool. If you want to get quotes, I can show you exactly how to get online right now and get quotes, right? But quotes doesn't pay out. Quotes is really simply just quotes. If something happens to you yesterday, quotes don't do anything. You actually need something to be in place. Because remember, insurance is not something you're actually committing to today, Joe. It's not something that you can actually just purchase, even if you have the best quote. But my job is to see if we can actually get you to qualify.
Okay. And if they just can be stubborn, you just pick up your stuff and leave?
Yeah, honestly, I've never encountered that, to be completely transparent with you. if have I gotten objections at the end and when I can overcome and I couldn't overcome it? Of course, absolutely. My close ratio is not 100%. No one's close ratio is 100%. Absolutely not possible, right? But if I set everything up properly, I ask all the right questions, and I present it in a way where they know that I'm not there to sell them, but I'm actually there to help them. To be very, very honest with you, if I'm sitting with them, I'm closing. I don't want to use the word close, but I'm going to help them. I'm going to find one way or another, I am going to help them. But if they are absolutely stubborn and they don't want to move forward, hey, Joe, pleasure to meet you. Perhaps, I didn't do my job. Maybe, the ball got dropped somewhere. I'm sorry I'm not able to help you, but I'll be on my way. Simple as that.
Because I would actually pick up my stuff. Like if I'm getting to that point, I would pick up my stuff and leave, because the time I'm trying to spend there to help them, I'd rather be heading up to my next appointment or something. So I just wanted to pick your brain what you would do, because I would just pick up my stuff. All right, I'm just wasting my time here. Let's go.
Well, that's kind of like how I don't know how long you've been doing this show. I mean, I've seen your name floating around here and there. And I know, Rob has talked about you. Obviously, you're a top producer yourself. And all of us are going to have to gauge that differently. We're going to gauge that differently, meaning, hey, your client best, the vibe that you're getting when you're sitting in the home, right? If they're just there, kind of like just wasting time and you really feel like this is not going to go anywhere, then of course you don't want to waste any time, right? And then another thing, sometimes what I like to do, depending on the situation again, right? If I kind of feel like I'm not getting the right vibe from this family or from this person, right? Hey, Joe, I just want you to know I'm here to help you, right? I'm sure your time is valuable, just as mine is as well. I do see 6 to 8 families every single day. Now I'm here to help you. Now, if there's any reason why today's not a good, whatever the case may be, I put it out there. So I just ask that you respect my time, just like I would respect your time, because I do need to respect everyone else's time. All the other families, I do need to help, right? So I put that out there. So it's a little bit more direct, but I let them know that I'm not there to play games.
Awesome, David. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
It's a good call out in a nice way. It's a good question, Joe. I bet a lot of people, especially fresh, deal with that. Anybody else have Vita? Any questions?
Hey, David. Thank you so much for this training. Excellent stuff.
Hi, Vita.
My question is for your newer agents. Which leads are you suggesting for them to start with? And do you also suggest for them to use some type of dialer system, like a phone burner or something like that right away?
Vita, that's a great question. So as a brand new agent, I think it's all about numbers, stacking the numbers in your favor, and being that we have access to the CRM where we can get abundance of leads. That's where I usually point all my new agents to. Start with the CRM because we're able to get abundance of them and because they are affordable. Because of course, everyone eventually wants to have mailers, whether it be final expense mailers, mortgage protection, but we all know that those are not cheap, right? So I always tell new agents who say, hey, David, I want to run your mortgage stuff. Hey, David, I want to run final expense. Okay, just know that if you don't book them or if you're not able to help them, you're basically burning $25 bills, $50 bills, $100 bills sometimes, right? Are you comfortable with that? Are you okay with that, right? I check them right then and right there. Now, Vita, as a new agent, what I suggest is this. Here's our CRM. As you can see, there's plenty of leads. You can get a variety of different types of leads at very affordable prices. So what that's going to do, Vita, is going to set you up for success by having plenty of leads, like Rob mentioned, and we always talk about more shots at the basket, more cracks at the bat, to guarantee that you can put the numbers in your favor that you can't lose, as long as you have the right mindset, as long as you put in the work, Vita. Hopefully that answers your question. But yeah, basically I point them to the CRM, get them some instance, get them a mix of internet, new internet leads, 1 month, 3 months. And if there happens to be some age mailers, for example, the final expense, or I usually don't like to suggest new agents to start to do any type of mortgage lead because it is a little bit more intricate. There's a lot more moving parts to it. I can certainly teach it. I've been doing it for a while, but especially with someone that's
fresh,
doesn't really have any type of sales experience at all, or doesn't seem to be the smartest tool in the toolbox. I'd say, hey, stick to the final expense, stick to the basic stuff because it's pretty straightforward. Hey, someone's going to pass away. They need coverage to make sure that that burden doesn't fall on someone else's shoulders. You're looking for burial, you're looking for cremation, are you looking to leave some extra money behind, blah, 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 blah. That's pretty straightforward, right? So hopefully that answers your question, Diva.
Thank you so much, David.
Anytime.
David. We have time for one more question. Anybody else? Guys, it doesn't matter who it is, actually. Anybody who has something on their mind that they've been dealing with, whatever the case is, you know, you got a top producer here for you. All right. Perfect, David, man. Hey, bro, I appreciate your time, man. That was a lot of information, you know, straight up tangible information that I know everybody appreciates, guys. So if you appreciate this, guys, drop a thumbs up in the chat so David knows, you know, he's got love out here, as you always do, man. And once again, bro, thank you for your time, man. And anything else, you know, the Frontline organization can do, obviously feel free to reach out, bro. So appreciate your time, my man. And I just want to end it with this, guys, stay on, because we got the guy for the gentleman, Robin Ferengi, on. So he's going to go through another training as well, whoever wants to stay on. But David, thank you, bro.
It's my pleasure. Again, thanks, Rob, for having me on. Hopefully I was able to share some stuff with the team, and hopefully there's some takeaways there and you can go apply and implement and help your business.
Absolutely did, bro. Appreciate you, man. Have a good one.